Hello and welcome back. Now we're going to look at calculating read-through using your ScribeCount data. First of all, you're going to want to pick as long a time frame as possible. The reason for this is because over the course of our careers, we may have some books set to perma-free, or we may have some books that we run a limited time special price on. And the more data that you gather to calculate read-through, the more it's going to smooth out those hills and valleys. So in this instance, I'm going to look at lifetime to date for me. I just want to do my Vital Secret series. So you're going to come up here to your series page and you can select just the books that you want to look at. And that should whittle it down quite a bit. Now, you can also do this on a per storefront basis, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But first, I'm going to show you how to do this using all available data from all available platforms. So what you want to do is you want to come down here. It's already set by book, which is what we want. So if you export this, you can just click here, CSV export, and this is the data that you get. You notice that it's got quite a few columns here. These three are monetary. This is monetary. Actually, all of these are monetary. And we're going to keep that data up because we'll get to sell through in just a moment. But first we want to look at read through, right? And that's where the units sold. That's where this area here comes in. So I'm going to shade those green. Now we're going to want to add up all these numbers. You can definitely tell which books I've had BookBubs on because, for example, Book of Secrets, see how that number is huge. List of Secrets is another one. Each one of those was a free BookBub. And this is why I mentioned doing it from as long a data set as possible to kind of smooth out some of these hills and valleys. But first, we need total number of units. So now that we've exported it out of ScribeCount, we can come over here, we can insert. We're just going to run a complete sum all the way through there like that. We're going to carry that down. All right, so now we've got total units. So since we've done that, I'm going to hide the rest of these columns for right now. But this is what we're down to. Now, obviously, this is going to vary from person to person. But what we want is to try to put these things in some sort of order. I've got my books labeled in the subtitles and in the series setups on the platforms, showing which book is what. So book is going to come first, and then list, web, path, carnival, house, and end. So if you don't already know this, here's the formula to calculate read-through. You can either calculate read-through from book to book, or you can calculate read-through from book one all the way through the end of your series. So we're going to say this is book to book, and this is throughout. And the way that you calculate these is super simple. Book is always going to be 100%. So we're going to find our book here. So there's that one. Let's get these in order right quick, and let me show you the magic. Well, web is there. Path is there. There's carnival. There's house and end of secrets. Okay. Now, book to book is literally, your top one's always going to be 100%, right? Because you can't calculate read through on book one to book one. It's always going to be 100%. So you're going to go ahead and plug that in. Now, this one, you want to see from book one to book two, from book two to book three, from book three to book four, and so on. Over here, you're going to want to see how many readers started here and went all the way through and read this, right? So this is a different calculation. Let's do this one first. So you say that number divided by your previous number. We're going to formulate these so they're percentages like they should be. So this is from book to book, right? So this one is now divided by that. And this one is now divided by web numbers. And carnival is divided by past numbers. Is divided by carnival's numbers. And last but not least, end is divided by house's numbers. Now, you're going to see some weirdness. In theory, you shouldn't. But this is another function. This right here especially is another function of these two titles had BookBub featured deals on them. Web has not. So it's going to look a little weird. From book 1 to book 2, I had about a 48% read through, which is actually pretty phenomenal. It drops super low here, and that's because when you have 129,000 downloads and 62,000 downloads, obviously it's going to take a little while for read through to start kicking in and showing up. However, from web to path, you notice the read through goes up and is pretty nice. So over here throughout the series, so every single one of these is going to be divided by the number of units that moved for book. So in this instance, we can say divided by, we're going to do a dollar sign and then that cell. And when you do dollar signs, if you don't already know this, it's going to anchor your divisor. It's going to anchor this here. And so now I should be able to pull this downward and it should do what it needs to do for me. As you can see, each one of these numbers are now paying off of how many of these people went on to read all the way through to book 7 in the series. Not necessarily great. However, given that these two had BookBub feature deals on them, that explains the numbers quite a bit better. If you run into this situation and you're finding that your numbers look funky, especially like this one, technically N should never be higher than house. But here's where that comes in. I also have these 3 books, books 4 through 6, up here in this box set. So to accurately calculate this on a per title basis, really what I want to do is take this number and take this number and take this number, and I want to individualize these out across the books, right? So Vital Secrets 1 and 2 has this book and this book in it. So in theory, what I need to do is I need to say, okay, we had another 18,492 downloaded from there, plus we had 52,405 of this title downloaded as a function of being in volumes 1 through 3. So we need to catch up our data set. So we're going to add that one there, that one there. Web was also included in this box set here. So that number needs to make it in 52,405. I'm going to do the same thing for this grouping here. This number is going to be added to Path, Carnival, and House. Because I did move 698 units of the box set. And to really get it down to a true individual title comparison, this is what needs to happen. You notice that when I add those things in, this number is now not over 100, right? And it's because we allocated these. So I'm going to put a note out here for you guys. Allocate box set data across all individual titles involved in the box set. Okay, so now that we've got that information, our read through from book to book, we still have a dip here, which is to be expected because, again, these two had BookBub feature deals on them. And while I did have one on this one also, it obviously didn't move the needle nearly as much as Book of Secrets did. So we do have a little bit of a weird lag there, but that's to be expected. Going from throughout the series, so obviously 100% of people who read Book of Secrets read Book of Secrets. We had a 66% read through from book to list. And you can see these are negligible still, partially because these titles are so much newer and I am going all time from 2010 all the way through 2023. This book didn't come out until 2022. This one came out in 2021. These two came out in 2020. So you've got more history here. But this is the basic concept of how you pull your data out of ScribeCount here and to be able to do your calculations over here. So let's say you want to do a single platform. I just want to see how Barnes & Noble did. Okay, we're going to pick on Barnes & Noble. So you would come back over here. You would deselect everything except for Barnes & Noble. So now Barnes & Noble is the only thing that's showing up. So let's check out the difference in read through between Barnes & Noble and when I tried to do it all time for all formats. Come back over here, CSV export. I'm going to open and copy this and I'm going to move it to the other Excel sheet where you guys can see side by side what the difference looks like from a single retailer versus everything else. These I'll go ahead and delete. These need to all be numbers. We can get rid of the points, get rid of those. Okay. So now I'm going to take this data. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to put it right here where you guys can see it. And here we are with our units moved. So since this column isn't showing any units, I'm going to use this as my let's get a grand total here so we can get free and paid to, again, take out any highs and lows. So we're going to come back over here. We're going to copy our handy dandy little list there. We're going to copy our headers there. Now, again, we do still need to split out any of these individual titles that were in these box sets. We'll have to include those as well, all right? Don't forget that part. So we're going to say book is that plus that plus that. List is that plus that plus that. Web is going to be all of web plus volume 1 through 3. Path is going to be individual sales plus volumes 4 through 6. Carnival, same thing, volume 4 through 6 plus the individual titles moving. House is going to be 4 through 6 plus house. And end is not in a box set at all yet, so we can just do that by itself. Now, we're going to do the same thing here. This one's always going to be 100%, right? So from book to book, that divided by book 1. Again, we'll pretty these up and we'll extend out the parameters a little bit there. Okay, so now we've got book 3. Read through from book 2 to book 3 is 35%. Read through from book 3 to book 4, 12. Book 4 to book 5. And book 6 to book 7. Not too shabby. Again, we do have a little bit of a natural drop off here, just like we did over here. But path onward, look at those numbers. It's pretty stellar, right? All right, so now we're going to calculate just for Barnes & Noble throughout the series. Again, book 1's always going to be 100% on read-through calcs. So now this one, we're going to say list units divided by the total number of book units. And we're going to calculate that on downward. So on Barnes & Noble, for the lifetime of my series to date, I actually have about 2.47% read through. In other words, 2.4% of the people who downloaded the first book actually have read all the way through the series. So now, if I'm analyzing this data, I wanted to start drilling down more into this and see if there are other things I can be doing to try to increase this number. I don't think there's a magic set number of read through that you absolutely have to achieve to be successful. I would say personally that I would be more jazzed if this very bottom one was at least 10%. But to get there, I would have to have 1,076 of the people who picked up book 1. That would have to be the number down here to get to that 10% read-through rate. So I have some work to do, but using ScribeCount and the data it collates to look very closely at these things can help you determine a lot of choices to take in your author career. Analyzing the data like this, which ScribeCount makes so much easier to do by compiling everything into one location and taking the time to really analyze the data and break it down and take a good hard look at it can really help you make better, smarter business decisions for your author business. And that's all we're going to talk about today on calculating read-through, both across all platforms and on a single platform. Want to learn more? Give us a try with our 2-week free trial and check out the other videos on our YouTube channel. ScribeCount. Numbers from your words. Built by indie authors for indie authors. Subscribe today, get back to writing, and leave the rest to us.